Hey guys! I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Boom Shikha and I welcome you to my channel. I'm so grateful that you guys are listening, subscribing, and commenting on my channel. I really appreciate the support. In this video, I wanted to talk to you guys about my own detoxifying journey. A lot of you guys have been asking me about, what do I do for natural products? How can I not use sunscreen? Things like that. And I thought it'd be nice to kind of do like an overview of what I went through and why. Recently, actually, my sister, who's an INTJ, and she's an adamant disbeliever in the whole natural living, natural clean living kind of deal, until she noticed the effect it was having on me. And she recently noticed my skin. She's like, your skin is so radiant, it's so perfect, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know, I've just been doing the same thing I always do. And that made her kind of realize that the detoxifying process that I've been going through for past few years, it takes a little bit of time to manifest itself in your body, because your body has so many toxins that's been storing since the time you were born, right? You were born not even pure anymore, because our mothers are ingesting so many toxins because of the pollution in the air, or the pesticides in the food, or maybe perhaps drugs or alcohol use that she might have undertaken during a lifetime. All of that stays in the bloodstream, all of that stays in our cells. And so we are not even pure when we are born. We've already accumulated chemicals in our body at the time when we're born, right? And so we have to undertake this process of detoxifying in order to at least remove some of the toxins from our body, right? And so my sister kind of started doing this recently, and as I said, she's an INTJ, so she's very skeptical, and she started drinking a green smoothie with spirulina in it. That's one of the things I recommend to people all the time. I'm sure I've recommended it to you guys as well. And so organic spirulina into a smoothie with a few berries, coconut milk, or coconut water, whatever you want to put in it, right? But spirulina is the key, and it really helps detoxify the body. It pulls out all of those toxins, chemical or mineral or whatever it might be, and just kind of you're able to just excrete it out with either your poop or your pee, and it just goes out from your system. Obviously, as I said, it takes a little bit of time to get to that process. But my sister started doing it recently, I would say a few months ago. She started having spirulina in her diet, and recently she started noticing that she's become more allergic or sensitive to caffeine. Now, she was the kind of person in the past that she could drink a cup of coffee or 2 cups of coffee, 3 cups of coffee before she went to bed, and she'd be able to fall asleep, right to sleep, no problem at all, right? So the caffeine that she'd been consuming, and she consumes at least 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day normally, and so the caffeine is kind of like, she's used to it. She has built up a tolerance to it. It doesn't really matter anymore. She could drink hundreds of cups of coffee, well, not so much so, but she could drink half a dozen cups of coffee a day and no problem at all, right? As she started doing the detox with the spirulina, and I don't think she changed anything else in her diet, she just started doing the spirulina smoothies, she noticed, as I said, she became more sensitive to caffeine. So she had a cup of coffee at 6 p.m., which would have been no problem in the past. She could have just had that coffee and fallen asleep. But that 6 p.m. coffee kept her awake all night, jittery and awake. And she noticed the effect that the caffeine was in her system. She noticed the jitteriness that she had never noticed before, right? She would need at least 2 or 3 cups of coffee to get to that point of jitteriness. And so she realized that the detoxifying process was taking effect, because all of a sudden the caffeine that seemed to be a non sequitur for her, that seemed like a no thing. I mean, she would put it into her body and it seemed like it was just nothing. Now all of a sudden it's causing an effect. And it's all because the previous amounts of caffeine in her body, or whatever the toxins were slowly being cleaned out. And all of a sudden her body and her mind is being connected and realizing that all of these things that we're putting in our body are actually causing an effect that we can feel, that we can realize. The neurons in our body can actually feel the caffeine and be like, oh, I'm so jittery, let's stay awake all night, right? And so that kind of reminded me of my own journey. And I think I started my whole natural clean living journey after I started doing yoga. And I did a yoga teacher training in Toronto a long time ago, 10 years ago maybe. At least, no, 5 years ago actually. 5 years ago. And so when you do that much yoga in a week, we're doing dozens of hours of yoga a week. And so when you do so much yoga, your body kind of cleans itself out automatically because you're moving and you're you're shaping your body in a way that it detoxifies it using physical detoxification, right? You're physically squeezing your body and your lymph nodes and you're detoxifying yourself that way. And so after doing so much yoga, my body realized that, there was a lot of stuff that came out, obviously. I wasn't really living such a bad life at that point, not unclean. I still ate meat at that point. I still used deodorant, aluminum, however you call it, non-natural deodorants. I was still using a lot of body scrubs and body lotions and body washes and shampoos and things like that were filled with chemicals. I never cared about pesticides in my food. I never drank kombucha, and I never did any of those things that I do now. And so I had a lot of toxins in my body, but all of that movement, all that yoga made me realize that a lot of it was squeezed out of me. And that at that point I realized, okay, let me, I'm already on the journey. Let me start kind of slowly moving towards the point where I don't put as many chemicals in my body as I normally do. Right? And so first I started off with the fact that I started removing all of those non-natural chemical products from my hair care routine, my body routine, like my hygiene routine in general. So little by little, I started using coconut oil only for everything, for my hair, for my skin, for my face, for my body, for my feet. So I started using coconut oil, organic coconut oil, as much as possible. And now I only use coconut oil. I don't use anything else on my face, body, or hair. I only use that. Actually, for my hair, I've started using argan oil, which is again still natural, argan oil and a mix of coconut oil, argan oil, olive oil. And so I use that for my hair, but I don't use it often because I don't need it. My hair doesn't need it anymore. And also sometimes do a cleanse with ACV, which is apple cider vinegar. So sometimes if my hair is getting too much buildup in it because of the hard chemicals in the water, the shower water, then I'll just do an ACV cleanse. ACV rinse is called. And so that's the kind of stuff that I use now. But in the past, I started little by little removing everything chemical from my body, from my routine, right? So I moved to a natural deodorant that did not have all those chemicals in it. I moved to a natural body wash. So I started using soap instead of body washes. Again, because also it was plastic usage. So I was like, all right, it's good. I can start using soap. And it was natural soap made of charcoal or turmeric or things like that as much as possible. As I said, I don't use anything on my face. I stopped using sunscreen, which was a big benefit for me. I didn't realize how many chemicals I was putting in my body because of sunscreen. I used it every single day, twice a day sometimes. And my skin now is much more healthier than when it was before, even though I was putting sunscreen on my face, and now I don't use sunscreen. I only use a hat in order to protect my face and obviously coconut oil as a natural sunscreen. And that's it. I don't use anything else, and my skin is healthier, and it's the skin tone is even more perfect than it was before. So it is possible to do it that way. And I live in one of the hottest countries in the world. I live in Thailand, so it's tropical, and the sun is out all day long. Oh man, it's hot here. Anyways, so I removed that from my skincare routine. No sunscreen, obviously. I could not use that. No sunscreen. No. Unnatural or chemical deodorant, no body washes, no body lotions, my shampoo, and I don't use conditioner. I use coconut oil as conditioner, and so leave-in conditioner, so that was fine. But shampoo, I switched over to a natural shampoo without sulfates in it, without parabens, without any of that chemical stuff. But I'm not saying I did this all in one day, and that's what I wanted to convey with this video, is that it's a process. It's a process of elimination that goes over a long period of time. I would say it has taken me 5 years to get to this point where I'm completely, as much as possible, completely a natural and clean living, right? As much as possible. I mean, sometimes you have to put plastics or chemicals into your body, but as much as possible, I try not to have anything unclean or unnatural, at least I should say, into my body. And so it took me a while to get here, right? So it was little by little. First, I decided on body wash or body lotion, and I started changing that. And then I moved to deodorant. I was like, all right, what am I going to do now with that? And then I moved on to sunscreen, and then I started deciding on what I should do with that. And then little by little, I went on to shampoo. And I was like, all right, which shampoo should I use? So little by little, very little by little, like maybe once every 2-3 months, I would switch a product over to something natural, right? And so that was all my body care and skin care and all that routine. So that was switched over. And then food came next, obviously, because that's the biggest thing you put in your body is your food, and you are what you eat. And so as I said, little by little, I started moving to a plant-based diet as much as possible. And so I removed all of the meat from my diet. Beef and pork for sure, I never ate that much anyways. But chicken as well, and eggs I'm reducing as much as possible. And that again happened little by little. So I put more lentils into my diet as much as possible, avocados, vegetables, things like that, right? And so that is a process as well. It takes a little bit of time. I was used to meat. I loved meat. I still love meat. But I realized that there's a lot of chemicals in there, a lot of hormones and shit in it that you don't really want in your body, right? And I noticed my menstruation became a little bit more clear and natural and more bearable. I used to have immense pains. My PMS was terrible. But as I started doing all these things, now my menstruation is easy peasy. It lasts for a couple of days, no problem at all, very little pain, and it just goes away on its own. I use magnesium spray for that, by the way, guys. If you have menstrual pain, if you have like your stomach hurts or something, or cramps, I just use magnesium spray. You can buy it from Amazon, and you just spray that on your belly, and the pain disappears like magic. Seriously, it's magic. I don't use or take pills anymore. I don't use Tylenol for my headaches. If I have a headache, I'll drink a lot of water and I go to sleep. As I said, if I have menstrual cramps, I'll do the magnesium spray and I'll go to sleep. I think sleep for me, sleep and water, I think is the key to all of the illnesses that I have right now in this moment in time. Touch wood, I'm very healthy, so it does help. But I try as much as possible not to take pills for anything. And my mother always kind of berates me for it, because I'll be lying in bed with the flu or the fever, and I'll be like, no, I want my body's immune system to kill that disease in my body. I don't want to prevent that. There's a reason why my body has a fever. It's trying to protect itself from the bacteria or virus that's in it, and I want to give it a chance to do it. And it always works out perfectly, because a couple of days later, I'll just sleep in bed. I'll be lying in bed, drinking lots of water, letting the fever do its magic, and a couple of days later, I'm fine. I'm all right without taking any pills, without taking any chemicals into my body, letting my body do the healing on its own, right? And so the last thing was green smoothies. Like, I do green smoothies, spirulina smoothies almost every single day, as much as possible. It's harder when I'm traveling, but I try to carry a little smoothie maker with me as much as I can. And so green smoothies absolutely has been paramount, especially spirulina, for cleaning myself out, detoxifying. It's been so useful. I love spirulina. It's literally one of the things that I want to carry around with me everywhere in the world. It's so powerful in detoxifying. It's one of those things where I would say, if you're not doing anything else, just drink a green smoothie every single day with spirulina in it. Just drink spirulina smoothies with berries or coconut milk or coconut water, whatever you want, really. It doesn't really matter. Dairy was another thing that I cut out, and gluten. Now, gluten and dairy are really hard, as you can imagine. I'm not much of a cheese fan, not as much as other people, but pizza, you have to give up pizza. Gluten means you have to give up pizza, pasta, and all those things. As much as possible, I don't eat bread or gluten or dairy, and sugar and caffeine. Caffeine never jibed with me at all. I'm not good with it. I'd always get jittery, and I wouldn't sleep for a couple of days. If I have caffeine, I pretty much am not going to sleep for 2 or 3 days straight, and it's just not good for my system. And so I never really drank that much caffeine, only herbal teas, which is fine. But that also was cut out completely. If I ever drank coffee, if I ever did, now I don't do it at all. Obviously, alcohol is a big one. I don't drink either. It's a big toxin. It's a neurotoxin, so it really affects your brain. So I don't drink. I know it seems like I live a very not fun life, but literally, seriously, this is the way I do it. And I've little by little, as I said, removed all of these things from my life. What else would I say? No caffeine, no gluten, no dairy, no sugar. Yes, sugar is one of those things which is as addictive to your body as cocaine, right? And it's really terrible for you. If you read any of the books out there on it, and I've read a couple of them, it is surprising and crazy how much sugar affects your body, right? It makes you hungrier. It is an appetite stimulant. It really screws with your neurochemistry. And screws with your hormones. I mean, there's a billion things that it does. It's not good for you. So as much as possible, I avoid sugar. Now, I'm not a sugary, sweet kind of person anyways. I don't like sweets. I love spicy food and I love chips. It's just still sugar in a way. So I avoid it as much as possible. But yeah, so sugar, I as much as possible, try to reduce it. It's not good for you, all right? But what happens with the detoxifying process is that as soon as you start removing these kind of things when you do put anything toxic into your body, all of a sudden your body is just like reacting like mad to it, right? And so as my sister realized, she was cleaning out her system, and all of a sudden she did put a toxin into her body, a caffeine, and all of a sudden her body's like, what the hell are you doing to me, right? I mean, you removed all this stuff from me, all this gunk, all of these chemicals, and all of a sudden you want to put something back into me? I don't think so. And so that's basically what happens with my body now, is that, I am basically living a very clean life as much as possible. As I said, it's not completely possible. I try to eat organic, I try to do this and that, but sometimes you just have to kind of give up and be like, all right, I'm just gonna do what I can. And so because I'm living such a clean life as much as possible, as I said, when I do put something disgusting into my body, which I do, I'm not perfect. I do have moments where I'm like, oh, I just want a banoffee cake, or I just want tiramisu, or or I want a big bag of chips, and I just want to put it all in my body. So I do have moments like that, and I know instantaneously that I put shit into my body, because my body will react like mad. It'll be like a snake, just like repelling it, or it just kind of is like a viper, and it's like, whoa, don't do it to me. Oh my god, I don't know what I'm talking about, but it literally is a bad chemical reaction, and I can feel it. I can feel my energy depleting. I can feel something in my body is not right, and I feel disgusted. I feel gross. I feel like, oh, I want to sleep. I want to run. I want to do this. I'm restless. Everything just feels off, right? Until I clean that out of my system, and then I go back to normal, and then I feel good again, right? So this video is already very long, but I wanted to share this with you guys because, as I said, a couple of you guys have asked me about it. And as I said, please just remember that this is a journey. It's a process. It's not that you're just going to go tomorrow and clean out all of your closet and all your stuff and be like, all right, I'm not going to put anything unclean in my body anymore. It'll take you a few years to get there, which is fine. It's the journey that matters, right? And so little by little, think about the things that you're putting into your body, the shampoo that you use, the body wash, the food, things like that, and just kind of little by little start moving towards a cleaner diet, a cleaner living sort of thing, where you feel comfortable with it. It has to be something that jives with you as well, right? You can't just use coconut oil for everything if you're not used to it. You need to get used to it. It takes time, okay? So I hope this makes sense. If you guys have any questions about anything that I've spoken about and you want me to expound on it, please let me know. I'm always here to answer your questions. If you guys have any other video topics you want me to speak on, obviously, please let me know as well. All of my contact information is in the description below. And I shall see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.